I'm Charlie Morgan. I run a company called Grassmaster Limited, and I'm here in Cowbridge today to discuss the idea of extending the grazing season using brassica crops. Grass has been our greatest value crop in Wales, but we need to try and extend that grazing season to reduce the cost of concentrates. In the instance we're here today, we're looking at improving lambs going through to the winter, either finishing or as stores, and looking at this year being quite a difficult year using brassicas because of the wet weather we've had. We've got to be very, very efficient in the way that we graze them. The forage quality that we've got in front of us today, although not a large crop because of the season, the quality is still there in terms of nutrient value. The energy source will be about 12 ME and the protein will be 17–18% protein. But the dry matter of these crops this year are only about 10–11% dry matter. So therefore it's absolutely essential that we graze these crops efficiently. We need to think about the inclusion rate of fibre in the diet because of this. We need to have about 70% of the crop in the diet of the animal, and the other 30% needs to be in terms of fibre. So we need either to have runbacks, obviously for welfare we need to have runbacks, or we need to have access to forage bales, not necessarily high quality silage bales, but fibre. We have to think about how we graze this area in terms of the environmental impact. We need to be sure that we're not creating any runoff or damage to the watercourses, so therefore grazing direction is important. Access to the field by a number of gateways would help us get that. And even though it's still a wet crop, we need to have access to water at all times for these animals. So all these things are a consideration of how the farmer sets it up. We need to establish now basically how much forage we've got in front of these animals initially, and to do that we need to cut a square metre of the crop and then do some calculation as to what we've got per hectare. So we've got a square metre, simple piece of stick showing us a metre, and Kerry's now collecting the width of this area so we can come as far as my knees, and then if we put this on the other side we know how far we need to go up to. We need to be collecting to about here. Stick that through. In terms of kilos, we're up to 4 kilos. So if we take that 4 kilos per square metre and multiply it up to a per hectare basis, that'll be 40,000. And then if we multiply that then by this year about 11% dry matter, as we said, that'll give us 4,400 kilos of dry feed for these animals per hectare. Then we can then calculate if that lamb this year is a 35 kilo lamb, taking about 3% of its body weight, we can then calculate how many lambs you want to put on here for whatever strip you want to give them, or how many lambs you've got, so how tight we need to make it. Then we can make sure that we use this efficiently, because what would happen if we just let lambs in here generally, they would graze the green tops and they would trample in the bulb, and we would waste so much of this feed. And this year, because it's not been the best growing year, we can't afford to waste it. If they only graze the green tops, the vast majority of what they would have is protein. Even though they might graze it quite efficiently, the green tops, a lot of it would pass through them in terms of nitrogen unutilised, and that would prevent growth rates.